Bunnie Xo.
She was a Vegas girl.
Bunnie Xo.
Dumb Blonde Podcast. And Bunnie Xo. Jelly rolls like Bunnie Xo. Miss Bunnie.
Bunnie Xo.
Talk to me about Bunnie Xo.
Bunnie.
Get two of the coolest tits I've met.
Is this thing on? What's up, you see? Welcome back to another episode of Dumb Blonde. True Crime Month, baby.
It's my favorite month.
I know. I love it. I would do true crime all the time. Like,
Are we?
I don't know. Shall we? I love it. We said that last time too, and then we did it for 2 more months, and then it just we were like, okay, interviews. Today we are going to be talking about Lyle and Erik Menendez. They are so just literally the entire world has re-embraced them. And it really warms my heart because I followed this trial. I was, I think, how old was I? Let me look. Yeah, I was about, so it was 89. I was 9 when this trial was going on. So I followed it. So I remember how the world made it look back then. And then as I got older, I still kind of kept in tune with it because I've always been a true crime junkie. And I learned more and more and more. And I've always thought those boys did not get a fair shake. So in lieu of the new Ryan Murphy, is that a documentary or a TV show?
It's a docuseries, right?
I feel like it's a TV show, though, because it's based on true events, but it's also very Hollywood.
Yes, which we'll get into.
So, yeah, which we'll talk all about that, too, and what our opinions about it are. But for those of you that live under a rock, we are going to cover this entire case from pillar to post, and hopefully we can, share our opinions and how we feel about the situation with y'all.
These are all speculations.
Yes, everything's alleged.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. How does that sound? So what we're going to do is we're going to start from when the murder happened, but as we talk about the murder and the court case and stuff like that, everything will be revealed about their childhood and just it'll all make sense. So I know at first normally we start from the beginning and then let it build up to it, but now we're just gonna literally dive straight into the night that the happened, everything that happened after that, and then by the time Lyle and Erik get on stand to testify, all of the stuff about their childhood.
We're coming in hot with this one.
Yeah, we're coming in hot. We've got notes. Look,
show
when
them.
I tell you,
Show them.
look at this. Open them. When I tell you, these are the Lyle and Erik Menendez notes.
This is crazy, you guys.
No.
I'm telling you, we went deep.
Yeah, we really, just because I wanted to know everything,
Yeah.
I feel like the Carly Gregg, there wasn't a lot to know, so it was
That story's still unfolding.
Literally.
For it to have just happened. So
Yeah.
this happened so long ago that we've had, over a decade. Multiple decades.
And I would just like to put it out there, Lyle and Erik Menendez, when you guys do get freed, because I believe you will, I would love to have you guys on the podcast. Don't come for me, internet, because I want people who have people on the podcast, though. And by the way, we will be talking about Wade Wilson next week, and we have Diane Ruiz's boys coming on the podcast. JD DeLay is going to be with me. It's going to be a deep dive, and a lot of shocking bombshells will be dropped.
Yes, there will be.
Because I have been saving everything for the documentary that we were working on, and I called the documentary off just because we'll get into that whenever we talk about it. But yeah, I'm ready to go in about that, and I'm ready to speak my mind.
We are parked in downtown Chicago. I can hear the cars going by outside. So if you guys hear background noise, honking, because everyone in Chicago likes to honk, that's what's happening.
The best food out here, though.
So good.
Can somebody tell me why Chicago has the best food?
So good.
No, it's insanity. But I'm hoping that you guys are loving the true crime tour bus.
Yeah,
true crime tour bus edition is what we're doing over
here.
here. So, but we just we wanted to stick with tradition, and we wanted to make sure that you guys had some stuff to listen to during the month of October. All right, so we are gonna kick this off, Lyle and Erik Menendez, on the night of the murders that happened. So that is August of 1989. Jose Menendez, an executive at RCA Records, and his wife Kitty Menendez are shot and killed by shotgun blast in their Beverly Hills mansion. At 11:47 p.m., Lyle, the son, calls 911 and said, "Someone killed my parents."
Distraughtly calls, yes. Just playing it up. Like, boy, it even said both boys were hysterical, almost overreacting. Yes.
So, as you guys know, Lyle and Erik them, but, they lived this life of just lavishness. They lived in a mansion in Beverly Hills. I think their zip code was even 90210.
Yeah.
That's so just par
it's
for
the
course.
most
Prestigious
Hollywood, LA type neighborhood you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Quiet mansions. It's insane.
Jose was a record exec for RCA, and don't quote me on this, he was either owner or heavily involved with Hertz rental cars. So the dude, they had money.
They were more than enough money.
They were doing great. Erik has said in an interview that, if the police would have pressed them, he would have folded because they had zero alibi and they also had gunpowder residue all over their hands.
Yeah, they're very sloppy.
Yeah, very sloppy. These boys, when as things start to unfold, you're going to understand why they did this. Like I said, you must live under a rock if you don't know the story, but stay with us if you don't know the story. They literally didn't even think about it. You can tell it was almost a crime of passion because they didn't think everything out. They just literally went downstairs and blew their parents' heads off.
Yeah.
They
didn't put together a plan. They didn't rehearse this. They didn't go over anything. It happened. They panicked shortly after, and that's when the so-called alibis or the cleanups or whatever they attempted, those came into play in passion, like you said.
Yeah, I don't think they tried to clean up anything.
Any gun shells and stuff. Remember they walked in and grabbed all the gun shells?
Yeah, oh, that's right, because he says right here, had they searched their car, there were gun shells inside the vehicle, and his vehicle was inside the search area.
Yep.
So yes, you were right. Good.
Crazy.
You caught that. That's good.
I was paying attention. This is definitely something.
I'm overloaded with research on this.
It's I find it crazy that this kind of falls back into last week's episode of they're smart kids.
Yeah.
But they're not street smart kids.
Right. I mean, they grew up in freaking Beverly Hills. So
yeah,
it's not
crazy.
They know how to do drive-bys or anything. So Erik also went on to tell the detectives, because they were never pinpointed as suspects.
No.
Which is crazy to me, because you got to think, these detectives go into this crime scene. Both parents' heads are blown off with gun shells in Beverly Hills. The sons immediately are not suspects. One, I think because of the dad's stature.
Yeah.
I truly believe that's why they didn't treat them bad, because they were just they could never do this,
No.
But secondly, they didn't even test the boys' hands for gunpowder residue.
Mm-mm.
Had they had done that, they would have been like, something's not ending
so
up here.
when the cops show up, the first thing that Lyle is pressing is I think the mom did this. That was their alibi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he immediately was just nope, it wasn't us.
Yeah.
And so I believe, like you said, the dad's role in the community and his ability to have this perfect persona
Just
of a
powerful
family.
Man.
Yeah. They were oh no, the kids could never.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, the boys did get brought in for questioning, but I mean, that's just par for the course if you're at any, or you walk in on any crime scene. So he said that if the detectives have been paying attention when the detectives and him were talking, he said that he discovered his parents and that he saw smoke.
The smoke.
The room was filled with smoke. So how weren't they arrested was surprising to him, is exactly what he said. And he said because seeing smoke would mean he would have had to have been there around the time of the crime.
Yes.
So, there was just so many clues, so many things that
so obvious
pointed at the boys. But I think that the people in the community and the police just didn't want to believe it.
No. not at all.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thought of them. And like, it truly was this, when they do get caught, and we'll get to that, it's like, they could have gotten away with this.
Yeah. Yes.
They
would.
could have gotten away with this.
They would have gotten away with it for sure.
You know what I mean? But I do agree. The slip ups, it all points to me that this was passion.
Oh, absolutely.
This was a passion.
For sure. People thought it was strange that the boys were still living in the same house that their parents were murdered in. So even after the boys continued to thrive and live in the same house. And, you know, that's when people started kind of being like, this is a little weird.
Yeah. I wonder if anyone suspected it prior to them getting caught. I wonder how many people were like, maybe the boys actually did do this. And no one was willing to speak up because of their stature.
Yeah. Well, I feel like especially back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, people minded their business.
I mean, that's true. No one's posting it on TikTok.
Literally. Nobody's trying to expose anybody in the 80s and 90s, dude. And like now, how it is now, would be like, I think he did it. They'd do a fucking
They'd have a podcast about it.
They'd have a podcast about it. Like, it would, everybody's exposing everybody. Back then, didn't say a word.
No, they kept to themselves. They would talk about it like during coffee or like over a cigar. But like
in the streets, it would be like, you know, gossip.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many times they sat down and were like, I bet you those boys did it. Hands down.
For sure. I'm sure there was a couple people who thought that too. But because of, you know, again, who Jose was, a lot of people just didn't want to, you know, I guess
didn't want to think
rock the boat.
Yeah, badly of him also, because like he put out this persona that in this community and his work and everything, that he was like the perfect family man.
So Lyle has been quoted as saying, I didn't have good coping mechanisms as a child. I was comfortable with keeping secrets. So, I mean, that right there for him, and this is before he even said anything about, you know, the abuse or anything like that. For him to say that he was comfortable keeping secrets, that's crazy.
Yeah.
If you know some shit's going on in that family, that you can parents and just act like nothing happened.
Exactly. And like I do feel like the over dramatized phone calls and like the acting that when the police were there goes to show how good of a liar he can be.
Yeah. They said that Lyle also did 90% of the talking after the parents' deaths because, you know, Lyle is the older brother. So he kind of like, they said that he began having business meetings with people to try to carry out what they thought their father would want them to do. It's like, it's crazy when you think about it because these boys were like, it's almost like they were living, I don't know, it's almost like a fantasy role play of like, maybe they genuinely were so up from what happened in their house that what I've noticed in all the research too is these boys still had like this weird tremendous respect for their father, which isn't that like Munchausen syndrome?
Kind of. I would assume it's like
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm. I was like more Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. Sorry, not Munchausen. Stockholm syndrome, because like they still wanted to carry out like his father's plans at the funeral. They talked about what a great man their father was, and like
it's like they were still hunting for that approval even after he was gone.
Yes,
that's truly what it was. It's like, what would my dad think right now?
Yeah, would he be happy with me?
Yes, would he be happy with what I'm doing? Would he be happy with that? And to give you guys perspective on Lyle and Erik, Lyle was the older one and he was a very dominant out of the two. Erik, I feel like, was just stuck in this like little boy innocent,
so sweet,
while Lyle was very push forward, very he was the aggressor of the two.
He's the firstborn. He was the firstborn. He was the first abused, and he was kind of like the protector.
Exactly.
And poor Erik, you know, just was this little nugget.
Yeah, I was gonna say nugget.
This little sweet nugget.
So I see Lyle being the one after the deaths to pursue these businesses, and he's carrying on life like his parents never died.
Yeah, it was
like they're on vacation or something.
Yeah, like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
They also enlisted a meeting with a writer to do a book on their father about what a great man he was, as well as we're talking about going into politics because that's what they had said their father was planning on doing.
It's like he's becoming his father.
That's exactly what they said. They said that Lyle literally stepped into the shoes of his father and like took his father's place.
Wow.
Yeah. Lyle also was the one who spent a lot of time at his parents' grave sites. And that to me kind of shows maybe remorse.
Empathy. Yeah.
Empathy.
It's like he does feel bad in a sense, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Says Lyle read a letter at the funeral from his father and was said to start becoming and acting like his father. He became extremely calm and cool. They both handled the deaths of their parents differently, Erik becoming withdrawn and quiet. So Erik, Erik is more of a sensitive soul.
Yes.
And
empathist.
He internalizes everything. He also suffers with severe depression. He also has a lot of mental health issues. And whereas Lyle probably was just in survival mode
all the time.
Yeah, it was just, I feel like Erik was more in that fawn mode and Lyle was in fight or flight
all the time.
Yeah.
His cortisol levels must be insane.
Literally. Well, now I'm sure, I hope and pray that they're better, but yeah, for what those boys had to go through, absolutely. And they just both took on the pain way differently.
Exactly. And that just goes to show both can go through something similar within a house, and you as a person is going to deal with that trauma in such different ways.
Yes. So, Lyle becoming this strange interpretation of his business-like father, he even hired bodyguards saying he feared for his life.
From the mob.
Because he was really playing into his alibi, quote unquote, that he had. And, whatever. I mean, they had the money, so he probably was just squandering it. Said they went shopping and started buying each other lavish gifts. Erik, who was a really good tennis player, hired a tennis coach for like $50,000 a year, which back in '89, $50,000 is crazy. You could buy a house for like $50,000 to $100,000 back then. Erik said it was all to cover up not wanting to be alive. He said that the only reason he didn't himself was because he didn't want to be a disappointment to his father.
Oh, again, just trying to live out this childhood something. I don't even know how to put that into words, but more like they truly believed that their father wanted these things from them.
It also goes to show that when you are abused by somebody, you still love them and you still want that attention, that affection, and that acknowledgement from them.
Yeah, that's often people, why did you stay with your abuser? Why are you still in a relationship with him? This goes to show that
trauma bonds.
It can happen with siblings, it can happen with relatives, it can happen with significant others, it can happen with parents, and this is one of those situations.
Yeah, exactly. Lyle has gone on the record to even say that he didn't enjoy being considered a playboy, and that it was just all a facade to cover up what they had done. So during all of this, Erik had ended up getting in trouble for burglary while his parents were alive. And the court ordered him to go to a therapist. Enter Dr. Oziel, and that's who Erik started going to. That doctor never made Erik feel safe because Jose told Dr. Oziel, everything that my son tells you, you need to tell me, and you need to sign this affidavit saying that you will. So Erik knew that he couldn't confide in this doctor at all, and never once confided in this doctor about the abuse, never said anything about
it's wild.
This
he has to go to them for robbery, but let's forget about all the abuse.
let's forget about let's forget why I robbed people. So after the deaths were just too heavy on Erik, and he was just like, I've got to get this out of me. So he goes and he sees none other than Dr. Oziel. And when he sits down with Dr. Oziel, he's, really nervous, really agitated, because he's pretty much suicidal at this point. And he goes and tells Dr. Oziel, hey, let's take a walk, because he was afraid that the session was being recorded.
Yep.
And in that walk, he confides to the doctor that him and Lyle committed the murders of his family.
Yeah.
So Dr. Oziel does not take this upon himself to go to the police and tell the police. He looks at this as like a perfect blackmail moment. Just a disgusting human.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, would
Truly.
you expect any less from somebody who was in business with the dad, you know? So instead, he has a side bitch named Judalon Smith, who he decides to confide in and tell, like, hey, Erik and Lyle Menendez just confessed their to me. I need you to come sit in one of the sessions and kind of eavesdrop in the waiting room. So he had Judalon come in, sit in one of the sessions outside and like with her ear up against the door or whatever, sitting in the waiting room. And he immediately gets on tape these confessions because he wants to have something to hold over the boys' heads for monetary reasons. And by the way, Dr. Ozell's license during this time was already suspended. I don't think anybody knew that, but he just wasn't a great character. He wasn't a great human.
Horrible man.
Literally took advantage of these boys because
in their most vulnerable states.
Moments. Yeah, like in their not multiple vulnerable moments, you know. Erik has said that he admitted these deaths to Dr. Ozell because he was really wanting to keep himself and depressed.
He didn't know where else to turn. Erik had, like you had already said, Erik internalizes everything while Lyle like projects it all in like with money or with like attention. And Erik is just so soft spoken. He's really got that Michael Jackson where it's like he's stuck in that age where that abuse started, and he didn't know how to do this. And I hate that the person that he felt most comfortable to turn to, and I know he thought the only reason he could turn to him is because like legally he couldn't go tell anyone, so like I get that, but like how sad is that? You had no one in your life you could confide to,
Not one
and then
person.
you end up having to go to the worst person ever.
I feel like his family would have had his back more than the doctor did.
I feel like they would have too because they seen it.
They've been writing for
Yes.
them, so yeah, and we'll get into that too. During all of this, Dr. Ozell also confided in his wife, too. Not only did he confide in his side bitch, he confided in his wife. So there's two, now we've got three people who know about what's going on.
He said he was confiding in them because he feared his life.
Right, I was just getting into that. He said he also told both his wife and his mistress that Lyle had threatened his life but still never went to police.
Like, get out of here.
Lyle has even gone on record to say, like, that's absolutely false. I never threatened his life, you know, and if I did threaten his life, why didn't he just go to the police? He never went to the police. He literally was just like
Out for himself.
Yeah, concocting this story just to try to definitely probably blackmail. Well, lo and behold, good old side Judalon decides to get mad at Dr. Ozell, probably because he wouldn't leave his wife, but she said that he had kidnapped her and held her against his will and her. Which we're not here to discuss any abuse that
it could have happened.
could have possibly happened.
It could have happened.
We're not here to speculate on what happened to Judalon, but this was her reasoning for going to the police. And when she goes to the police, she's hysterical. She's like, "Oh my God, he raped me. He did this. He did that. Oh, by the way, he also has the Menendez brothers on record saying that they." Parents. So this wasn't the first thing that she told the police.
No.
It was more about like what's going on with her and like how he did her wrong, and you know, even the police back then didn't believe her, like what was going on. But when she said that he had these tapes of the boys, that's when the police's ears perked up,
And
they
you
were
know,
like,
the
"Oh,
police,
really?"
I feel at that point are like, and they kind of discussed this in that docuseries on Netflix, about how they feel like they're internalizing the fact they're not doing a very good job. And that could be, we don't like, that's not actual proof. That's
Right.
like more of like Hollywood type stuff.
Yeah.
But this could be actually happening. These dudes could literally just be in such a rut that it's like they were willing to grasp onto any information that was coming out because
Yeah.
of course they didn't test the son's hands,
Right.
you know, so they have nothing, and they probably didn't do a very good very good job at the crime scene.
Yeah. And by the way, his side bitch used to be one of his clients, which right there tells you another character defect of Dr. Ozell.
Oh,
You're not
he's such
supposed
a
to be. Is
horrible
that like a
person.
HIPAA violation?
It is.
Yeah, you're not like supposed to date your clients, but whatever. So the police watching this from the sidelines was when it started to make the police kind of think like, something is not right. This is a motive here. So they start investigating and they discover where the boys had bought the guns in San Diego. So before the boys did the and we're going to get into all of this because none of this comes out until they get on the stand, is that Lyle and Erik said that they feared for their lives because of their parents. There was a situation that happened, which we'll get into in a little bit, and Lyle and Erik felt like they needed to protect themselves. So they went down to San Diego, and I think they used like a cousin's ID or something, and they bought 2 guns from a gun shop. So the police found out about that, and that right there shows the weapons. March of 1990. This is almost a year later. Lyle is arrested by police, and Erik turns himself in days later after returning from Israel. They confessed to their Okay, hold on. Lyle is arrested by police, and Erik turns himself in days later after returning from Israel. They are accused of first-degree murder. So this is where it starts getting hairy, dude.
Oh,
like, it starts getting crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make it up. Like, this is literally a Hollywood movie.
Yes.
Ryan Murphy knew what he was doing when he made that docuseries.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we talk about the fact that, like, he portrayed them, and like the way that he put this together, I mean, it was a spectacular. Monsters is something like everyone should watch.
Yeah, so let's talk about it really quick before we get into all the details and stuff like that. So I don't know if you guys have seen all the hoopla online about Ryan Murphy's documentary about Lyle and Erik Menendez. I watched the documentary myself, or the docuseries myself, and I have to say, this is only my opinion. Everybody else is entitled to their opinions, but this is how I took the Ryan Murphy thing. First of all, Ryan Murphy is notorious for American Horror Story. Mm-hmm. It's what he does. He does horror very well. And when I watched the docuseries, it kept me glued to the screen.
You couldn't look away.
Could not look away. And I didn't realize how bad the abuse was until I watched that Ryan Murphy documentary. I think he captured the abuse that the boys went through absolutely amazing. What he did wrong was, and this is how, just my opinion, what he did wrong was he did not capture the emotion of these boys and the pain of these boys. And that's where he f***ed up.
Yeah.
Had he incorporated that in that docuseries, it would have been received a way different way.
Whole different way. You and I discussed this. I truly feel like he dehumanized them. Mm-hmm. And until you actually watch them as humans on tape, you have no idea the emotions and the pain that these boys felt.
What those boys went through, dude. Like, I don't think ever making fun or light of abuse is ever okay. And I think that, these boys had the whole world laughing at them. Yeah. They were portrayed as these snotty, little bratty, pompous, boys, and that's how the media covered them in the 90s. That's exactly how the
people
media
were making fun of them on like news channels and like SNL and like things like that. Could you imagine?
No. Could you imagine, literally parents and then the entire world just coming at you, not knowing all the facts and making fun of you, and like she said, skits on SNL being made and stuff like that. So do I think Ryan Murphy did a great job? Absolutely. Yeah. But I also think that he slipped up in that one area of just not showing empathy and capturing the boys' emotions and pain, which kind of is par for the course for Ryan Murphy. He's kind of like the Tim Burton of, like horror shit.
And I don't think you can incorporate heartfelt moments so much into horror.
Right.
So I get that. Like, I get you did the best in your specialty. And I by no means feel like it was it was literally, I'm obsessed with it. I could watch it again. Yeah. But if you want to
dissect it.
Yes. If you want to dissect it no more, please go watch the actual tapes.
Well, go watch the actual tapes, but also watch the new documentary that just dropped with the boys in their own words. Yes. And I can understand why Erik and Lyle are upset, because they've worked this hard to like get it reappealed and like, hopefully try to get free, and then here comes Ryan Murphy making them look like they did in the 90s, and that's got to be hurtful. So I get that. I understand that. All right, so we got off track, but let's deep dive into what happens next after the boys are arrested. You want to go ahead, Memes?
Yeah. March 1990. Lyle is arrested by police, and Erik turns himself in days later after returning from Israel. So they're just living their normal lives, having no idea this mistress is out there snitching on them.
Yeah.
And
not really snitching on them. She was trying to snitch on Dr. Oziel, and then was like, oh yeah, by the way. Yeah. Like, they didn't even care. It was so passé.
Oh, it was awful. So,
and by the way, Erik was in Israel for a tennis competition.
Yeah.
He could have just stayed gone.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't have to come back.
Yeah, like you could have, you had a running start.
Yeah.
He only came back for his brother.
Yeah, truly.
They have like such a sweet bond.
Yeah. And it's a trauma bond too between those two.
Yeah.
Lyle has said that it was a staged arrest for the media circus. They, had called the media to be ready to watch for the SWAT teams. That right there shows me, and I had mentioned this earlier in this podcast about the police department, they really were trying to save their asses in this.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that you call media out to witness this, you could have easily probably knocked on the door and just been like, yo, bro, you're arrested.
When you find out later on who the judge was, you'll understand why they made this a media circus.
Exactly. So it just, to me, the whole thing just screams red flags. But then, Lyle also has come out to say that he was relieved to be arrested. And it's like you said, the cortisol levels in this circus that he's just portraying this person, it was probably like, whoa, I can kind of take off my mask right now.
Yeah.
I don't have to pretend to be this person. And everyone he surrounded himself in, his friends, everything like that, he had to be someone.
Well, and holding in a lie like that.
Yeah.
And then can you imagine seeing your parents in that state over and over and over again in nightmares? Like, I just think that would be super heavy, and just, I couldn't imagine the relief of just being like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, and that's what Erik had. That's what turned Erik to going and confessing to his therapist, was a lot of the dreams.
Yeah,
he was daydreaming. He was having nightmares at night. Like, it consumed his entire life, which I'm sure in a way it also did to Lyle, but Lyle didn't portray that.
Right. So we're going to fast forward to 3 years later. July of 1993 is when they go on their first trial.
So the Menendez brothers go on trial in LA courtroom, each a separate jury in a trial that was televised on court TV.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's already a media circus. These boys have been sitting in jail for 3 years. They reappear. And I mean, you see the iconic, they walk in the courtroom, like, that is iconic, because these boys were attractive boys.
That was it. They were really like the stereotypical
and I'm
hot
gonna say,
90s guys.
They were the hot 90s guys, and people wanted to hate them, but then there was women who loved them, as we're seeing with what's happening with certain serial now, or now
the same thing happened with Dahmer.
Yeah.
He was hot, you know?
Yeah.
And that resurfaced here when they brought out his little docuseries thing. It was like, it resurfaced of this, like, craze women had towards, like, how hot he was.
Yep. So prosecutors, whenever they opened up the arguments in the trial, was that they killed parents for financial gain. They were looking for a motive. And I'm sorry, this prosecutor was a cunt. I can't stand her, dude.
I do not like her.
Bro, if you watch the documentary, the new one that just dropped, not the Ryan Murphy one, but the real prosecutor is in this one, and she is a turd.
I don't like her. Like, I just talked about this today.
Terrible human, man.
Like the ending of that when she was talking, I was like,
it's viral on TikTok.
Is it?
It's viral.
Thank God. Cancel her. Please, if there's anyone to cancel, it's her.
Yeah, I think she's retired now, but I mean, like, she's crazy. She even went on to say on this documentary, like, oh yeah, so we're just gonna let them out of prison because TikTok, and by the way, TikTok, I'm armed, and it's just like,
she's
bitch,
like, I got guns all over this
you don't
place.
know how these people on TikTok work. They will have your social security number on the dark web tonight.
They will be tracking your every move on Twitter.
Yeah, like, she needs, like, don't piss off the crazies on TikTok.
No.
The brothers' defense admitted that they did parents, but argued that they acted out of self-defense after years of emotional, psychological, and sexual abuse by their father. So this brings me to a point right here. when they first got arrested, they sat in jail for 3 years. And they stood by the fact that, yes, we parents and we're just going to take our lumps and go away. Nobody was going to talk about the sexual abuse. They were forced to talk about the
Yes. What is that?
Yep. They were forced to talk about the abuse because Erik and Lyle had been put in the same housing unit. And Lyle used to write letters to Erik, and they had said, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, that the boys tried to escape from jail, and so they had to all of a sudden search their jail cells, right?
Lies.
Yeah, it was lies. Yeah. But they searched Erik's cell, and when they searched Erik's cell, they found a letter from Lyle stating like, hey, I love you. I'm sorry for everything we've been through, but listen, we're not going to talk about what really happened. We're not going to talk about what they did to us. We're not, this was a heartfelt letter where he went in and was just telling Erik how much he loved him and like, hey, we're just going to go down in flames and just take our, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Which to me, that's balls,
it's
dude.
G, dude. Yeah.
That's straight up gangster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, how are you not going to talk about what really happened in your household? And once you guys find out what really happened in their household, if you don't know already, it's mind-blowing that they were willing to go down with these secrets.
I cannot imagine. I have full body chills right now thinking back on this, because I just could not imagine having so much trauma that you don't even want to talk about the trauma.
Well, you don't want to talk about it, and also it's almost like you're still protecting your family.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Dad would be disappointed if we talked about that. That's how I see it. And I'm like, bro, what did he do to you?
And you know why Erik, I think I wrote it down later in the notes, but Erik said later on that he had kept the letter because it was the first time Lyle had ever opened up to him about it. And it was special to him. And that just goes to show how sweet Erik is.
They love each other
so they're
much.
Babies. Like, they're... Okay, anyways. We'll probably get in trouble for saying we're
I'm
romanticizing
sorry,
but I don't know. How can you not want to cradle these boys after you hear this story?
It's crazy.
So, of course, with the boys' looks, with their attitudes, all that stuff,
who their parents
were, they become the case becomes an overnight sensation. They are like global worldwide coverage.
This was like our modern day Johnny Depp trial that everyone was talking about and everyone was watching.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. So the jurors were selected. The jurors that were selected had read and followed the case through TV and newspapers, so they had already preconceived opinions about the boys.
I hate that.
How is that even fair? Like, you have such a freaking major case that people have been already following for 4 years at this point.
Have decided their decisions for sure.
Well, that, and also it's like, that's not fair, because you need people who really don't know what's going on to look at it from a fresh, set of eyes. So Robert Shapiro was originally the boys' attorneys, which Erik and Lyle have gone on record to say that they feel like Robert Shapiro them over.
Yeah.
Robert Shapiro is actually the one that talked Erik into coming back from Israel, and when Erik could have just stayed in Israel. So so I
didn't know that. I had no idea he's the one that convinced him to come back. I thought his brother convinced him. That's wild.
No, Robert Shapiro. Well, I'm sure it was a mixture of both. I'm sure, but his brother was arrested. He's not being able to talk to his brother, and then Robert Shapiro probably levied that to get him back. They definitely feel like Robert Shapiro him over. So after they fired Robert Shapiro, they hired boss ass B, Leslie Abramson.
That's my girl.
I love her.
That's my girl.
No, I love her. And you can tell, man, that woman went hard for these boys. Like, she was the mom they always needed. Like, she protected these boys tooth and nail, and she's the one who talked the boys into talking about their abuse, because Lyle was not having it. I think Erik was more like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, but as long as Lyle's okay with it. And then Lyle also, so Leslie was Erik's attorney, And then Lyle had another attorney who I believe was, I think her name is Jill.
If you guys have not seen Leslie, go look at a picture of her. She's got this like permed blonde hair, big hair. I'm just going to paint a picture for you. She's skinny. She is chain smoking cigarettes outside the courtroom. It's just...
She's from New York. Like, she doesn't take any shit,
She
dude.
is such a bad bitch.
Yeah.
I adore her.
So Lyle's attorney was Jill Lansing, and then Erik's attorney was Leslie Abramson. I don't know why I have the hardest time with that. But isn't it crazy how the boys hired both women?
Yeah.
Like, that just shows, like, they just want that motherly love.
Yes, they were over by the dude already, and it just like goes to prove to them, like, you know, no, we're gonna get women.
Yeah, their mom was a piece of too.
Yeah,
we're gonna get
both
into
of
that
the parents
too.
failed them.
Yeah, definitely. So in the case of Lyle and Erik Menendez, who were their parents, in 1989 Shapiro arranged the surrender of Erik in 1990, who at the time of Lyle's arrest was in Israel for a tennis tournament. He later represented Erik during their first arraignment until the defense handed it over to Leslie Abramson, who represented Erik until the brothers' conviction. So, moving on from there, you know, you've got this huge global case. You've got these two badass women that are representing the boys. You've got handsome boys, handsome rich boys that are just driving the world crazy. Mm-hmm. And then you have jurors who know what the f- is going on.
Yeah. This whole case is a mess.
So this whole case is a mess because the next part, and I'm going to let you know why the next part is so pertinent. The judge was the same judge. The judge that the boys got was the same judge that had ruled on the Rodney King case. So because of what happened with the Rodney King verdict, that judge already felt pressured to prove that the judicial system was upstanding and just. So these boys are literally walking in to just a lion's den.
Yes.
You know, and for everybody who's familiar with the Rodney King situation, when that judge ruled not guilty, LA was on fire.
Literally
California
rioting.
was rioting, getting burned down. Like, nobody gave a fuck. Mm-hmm. You know, like, it was straight anarchy out there.
Absolutely.
And then here comes these two little white rich boys who get their parents into the same courtroom of the judge who just had set off the entire Rodney King thing.
Yes.
How is that fair?
That judge should not be able to practice. Like,
he should have taken a year off.
He's like, bro, okay, I'm gonna go.
Like,
I'm gonna go to Israel.
Yeah, literally, like, why are you still in the courtroom? Like, it's just crazy to me.
That part of I didn't know that part until you had told me the other night, and I was like, no freaking way.
Yep.
Like, it explains so much of, like, how this trial ended up happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. But you want to know what else is just crazy? Lyle's toupee.
The toupee, man.
To pay or not to pay? That is the question.
Oh my gosh. So in the docuseries, though, on Netflix, they did a fantastic job portraying this toupee.
Are you talking about Ryan Murphy's?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So the toupee took on a life of its own in Ryan Murphy's docuseries, dude.
And it's like he's talking about, like, he's calling in his jail, and he's like, I just need the tapes. I just need the tapes for my toupee. And he's got, like, little latches. Oh my God.
When you find out about the toupee, though, it's actually the most sad, tragic story. I mean, this entire story, we haven't even gotten into all of it yet. We're just literally tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
That toupee, first of all, I didn't know it was a toupee.
I had no idea.
But then, when you look back, when they play old shit, you can tell.
There's a good separation.
You can tell. It's not even blended.
It's not. I was looking at it the other night when I was watching that, and, like, the back, you can literally see it, like, sticking up. And I was like, I just thought that was a cowlick.
Literally, like, nobody knew. And then here's Erik with just luxurious curly locks.
How?
Like, poor Lyle got into the shingle, man. All right, so moving forward, we had to have a moment of silence for the toupee.
Really, we did. And I mean, now if you guys look at pictures of him, he has just gone ahead and shaved his head.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Attaboy. Thanks for just embracing it,
yes,
buddy.
We love it.
Because if he was still wearing the toupee, though, I wonder if they get out if he wears the toupee. if he puts the toupee back on.
Stop.
What do you think?
He's a bald, just majestic. He's rocking it.
Just a
he's
Mr. bald, clean. Majestic unicorn.
Yes.
All right. All right. So, diving into the boys' life stories, and this is where it all gets crazy, and you
like,
get to
buckle
learn
up.
everything. Yeah, buckle up. Jose, the father, was born into a wealthy family in 1944 in Havana, Cuba, to an elite family of doctors and lawyers. So, I mean, Jose was used to a certain lifestyle. He grew up with money, but he ended up losing everything during the revolution, and him and his family became refugees and had to flee from Cuba, and they came from Cuba to America to rebuild.
But rebuilding at that kind of stature, you're kind of already starting a little level up. Like,
yeah, I mean, it depends.
Kinda.
Did his parents put money away? Did they have like a little nest, or did they really come here with nothing and have to start from the ground up?
Yeah, but you still have,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to be able to utilize those in some way.
Yeah. Erik had said that his father had this unstoppable drive that you were either afraid of or pulled in by. I feel like that's me. I feel like I'm just like, you either like it or you don't. I understand how it feels to like be a hard worker, you know, and like just want to accomplish it, because
Sometimes I just want to turn it off.
Oh,
Sometimes
I wish.
I'm just like, let me just turn off my brain, but like that's not how that works.
literally.
I work on my deathbed. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Kitty Menendez was glamorous, good-looking, and fiery. They said she wanted to be in radio, theater, or have a career. So, you know, here's two people that are pretty driven, that know what they want, and somehow they have crossed paths and decided to make a family together. Jose became a huge successful businessman by his 40s, and he was head of RCA Records and Hertz, as well as managing Menudo, who later on, there is a documentary that's actually on Netflix right now. I think it's Netflix, Peacock right now, where the lead singer of Menudo says that Jose Menendez did something to him too. I can't speak on it. I haven't seen that documentary, but I definitely want to watch it. So, I mean, this is par for the course, and you have to understand, like, there's so much abuse here that has had witnesses, and everything still panned out the way it did. So from the outside, it was a perfect all-American family. During this court case and trial, Dr. Oziel takes the stand, as well as Judulon, and the minute those two hit the stand, it's a fucking circus. So the Supreme Court had subpoenaed Dr. Oziel's confessions from the boys, and it was taking a lot longer than they had planned on it taking. So during this time, that's whenever the boys were accused of trying to escape. So that's when they found the letter. And in the letter, so in the 17-page letter that Lyle had written to Erik, Lyle was telling Erik that revealing the 6 secrets of the family would be like his family all over again, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And Erik was supposed to destroy the letter, but because he didn't, prosecution now had hard evidence of a confession written by Lyle. So, even though they were waiting on Dr. Oziel's tapes, they now had what they needed to convict the boys.
But from the beginning, the boys never claimed innocence.
No, they didn't.
They didn't at all, but they still
claimed
in
self-defense.
court, yeah, but still in court had to prove what type of
Right.
it was. So just so you guys understand, they did not come into this being like, oh, we're innocent, we didn't do it, the mob still did it. No,
Yeah.
these boys literally, yep, we did it.
Yes, we did it, but we did it because of
Yes.
this.
So this whole trial is based on what type of this is.
Yeah. Erik has gone on to record to say, I felt terrible because my brother was expressing his pain, and it was so dear to him that I couldn't throw away the letter, and in return it helped convict them. But not realizing that it was actually what is going to save them, you know? Like, I know it's taken 30-something years, but that letter right there is the reason why these boys are getting so much love and compassion.
Yes. Yes, it's their truth.
And I had in my notes here, I just said, could you imagine being accused of parents for money when you're harboring these horrific secrets and you're both still not saying anything as you're being tried for the murder of your parents? Like, that's just crazy. That's just crazy to me. But
I can't believe they kept that in and weren't going to talk about it.
I know. But luckily enough, Leslie, Miss Abramson, was a fucking gangster. And she was like, she's super smart and she acted quick. She set the boys up with a defense expert to start trying to pull the real story of what had happened out of the boys. So enter in this defense expert who really needs these boys to open up and talk about what would happen.
Yeah.
You would think that in the first session they would just word vomit.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
Of course not.
They did not. The first session with the defense expert did not go as planned. He couldn't get anything out of Erik because he didn't trust him because of Dr. Oziel.
Yep.
So poor little Erik, you know, just has all these little secrets and, you know, just does not want to open up because he's scared and doesn't trust anybody.
Every man in his life has let him down.
Literally. And then Lyle said that he would have rather have lost the trial than revisit what had happened.
Which I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, poor Lyle. You know, like a lot of us sympathize with Erik just because he's such a sweet little baby, and like Lyle puts on this tough exterior, but at the same time, it's like I think I'm a lot like Lyle too.
I see the pain in Lyle a lot more.
Yeah. No, it's just when you see these boys cry on the stand, it is heart wrenching.
And if you say that's fake, we have a difference in opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Erik wouldn't open up and kept saying how great of a man his father was and wouldn't break. Like, so literally, you're sitting in front of a defense expert who's going to save your ass if you just start talking, and you're telling him that your dad is a great man. Like, tell me that's not programming.
PTSD.
Programming, though,
It's
too.
crazy.
Because, you know, Jose drilled that into their heads, you know?
Literally, he still feared for his life even though his abuser was gone.
Yeah. No, it's so sad. And that right there shows severe trauma.
Yes. The fact that people couldn't see that is beyond me.
Yeah. So they started calling family and family doctors in as witnesses because the boys just would not open up. Mm-hmm. And we're going to play a lot of clips for you. I really think this is a different podcast than what we normally do. So we want you to hear it from these people's own words instead of me quoting them, because I really think that it's more for you to just hear is so important to me, because, you know, me saying it, you don't get to hear the emotion that's coming from these people. But just to sum it up before we go into all these clips is, so they all testified about physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotion.
Okay, Chicago.
Yeah.
It's like a bad cat.
It's terrible. It sounds like Bussy.
He did that in the pool area the other day, and everyone was like, I didn't never known he could bark.
Oh,
the
like,
dude
he barks loud and deep.
All right, go ahead.
All right. They all testified about physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, all witnesses of what these boys had gone through with horrific stories, and yet nobody did anything to ever help those boys until now that their parents were already. Mm-hmm. Which to me, it's like, okay, maybe everybody was scared of Jose and just didn't want to rock the boat. But at the same time, I'm sorry, but if I know my little niece or my little nephew is getting hurt, I'm gonna step up and I'll take that kid myself. Fight me for it. Yeah,
absolutely.
No, there's no way. You don't just.
Yeah, in my head, I'm like, also, even if they tried, I don't feel like those boys would have willingly gone.
Yeah, true. That's a good point, too. The only person who had anything nice to say about Jose Menendez was his secretary. And that's probably because he was Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly. But absolutely.
Yeah.
You do not have this man's back. Shit.
Yeah.
And if you do, he either owes you money or was dicking you down.
They couldn't find one character witness to say he was a good human.
That just shows. Oh, gross.
So starting out with the testimonies of the people who came on, there was an aunt that testified that at 2 years old, Jose would hang the young boys from a super high bar until they couldn't hang anymore. So like, imagine being 2 years old, being put up on this bar, and you're just sitting there being hung. 2 years old. You have no muscle. You have no, nothing. And when the boys would start crying, he would beat them. He would hit them and tell them, why are you crying? Stop crying and I'll let you down. And then would hit them, do it again, put him back up on.
I might cry during this podcast,
No,
guys.
literally, and this is at 2 years old, you know? And then he would do that to Erik, and then he would do that to Lyle, and Lyle wouldn't cry, so he would pin the boys against each other. So Lyle always had to be the tough one, you know? So he would be like, oh, Erik, why can't you be like your brother? You know, and like just literally just berate these boys. And this is at 2 and 3 years old, or however far apart they are. So the first cousin who actually has passed away, his name is Andy Kano. He went on the stand and he talks about how he found a jar of Vaseline in 13-year-old Erik's room, and we're going to hear that testimony now.
I believe I was around 11 years old. It's the best I can do.
Okay, so if you're 11, then Erik's about 13 and a half to 14?
Right. When we went back to his room, I remember seeing a jar of Vaseline. I didn't know what it was used for or what it was then, but I figured it was a type of ointment that you put on scratches and so on.
Okay, so did you try to use it for your scratch?
I picked it up, and Erik immediately told me to put it back down.
Okay, did he say anything else about it?
No, he didn't. He just said, don't touch it.
Well, did you explain why you wanted to use it?
Yes, I told him I was just going to put it on my scratch.
And did he tell you anything about that?
Yeah, he said that's not what it's for. He was actually trying to find out if any of these massages were normal. And my response to him was that I wouldn't know. I didn't have a father around. My parents were divorced then. Well, he told me his father was massaging his dick.
He used that word?
Yes, he did. I knew from recent talks with Erik that he was suicidal. And that's what I was worried about. I was worrying about him. And I remember one time on the airplane, he locked himself in the bathroom for about an hour. It seemed to me like an hour. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for him to come out. And I went and knocked because I was very worried about what he might have done in that bathroom.
Did you believe at that time that he was having a guilty conscience about his parents?
I didn't believe anything. I just believed that I was very worried about him.
Your cousin was a good friend of yours, right?
Yes, he was. And is.
So
This just goes to show. People knew about this.
yeah, this is just the beginning. So
Yeah, and it's a kid that knows about it too, which makes me feel bad for all the people he did confess this to, because they don't know how to handle that.
yeah, so this is his cousin, and what he's talking about is Erik confessed to him that his dad was massaging his penis and with the Vaseline that was in his room. This is being testified in court. Mm-hmm. You know, Erik's, how old did he say, 13 right now? So they don't even know how long this abuse has been going on. They just literally knew bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Next up is Lyle and Erik's aunt, who is talking about the signs of abuse. And she's testifying in front of the courtroom for everybody to hear.
Well, I had to go to Kitty and Jose's room because it then got to be very late. It was originally like around 6:30, and it now was getting on to be 7:30, 8 o'clock. And I was extremely hungry. It's been a long day. And I knocked on Kitty's door of their room, and Kitty was in the room, but there was no Jose. And she said that he was down in Erik's room.
Did Erik have a room in the same hotel?
Yes, he did. If I can remember right, it was like about 2 to 3 rooms down from their room.
Okay. So she told you that Jose's in Erik's room.
Correct.
What happened then?
She then said that we had to wait until Jose came out of Erik's room before we could go to dinner. So
did you wait in her room or return to your room?
no, I went back to my room.
And did you subsequently get information that Jose was now back?
What had happened was I had to go there one more time. I went back to her room and said, you know, Kitty, it's really getting very late. Why don't we just go down to eat? And she said, no, it'll only be a few more moments. Jose should be coming out of his room.
And how much time before Jose did come out of Erik's room?
If I can remember right, it was like around 8:30 or 8:45.
And what happened then?
We then were walking down the hallway and...
When you say we...
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
It was myself, Brian, and Jose, the 4 of us. Okay. And what happened then was we said we would like to go in and see Erik to at least tell him that we thought the game was very well. We were sorry that he lost. Jose made fun of that, but as we were there in front of the room, he said, well, okay, Erik is in his room, and he will not be coming to dinner with us. So he opened the room, and
Who opened the room?
Jose did.
Did he have a key?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And when he opened the room, we looked in, and it was a short hallway like you would have like in a Holiday Inn or something like that. I looked in the room, and it was very dimly lit, and Erik was in bed.
How did he look?
He looked very sad, and you could tell something was wrong with him, okay? He didn't want to speak to us, and I was going to go over and give him a hug, and I was told that I shouldn't do that Erik just didn't want people to hug him.
So this is an aunt testifying that she's witnessing weird behaviors, and apparently, from a very young age, these boys were allowed to be alone with their dad, locked on whatever floor he decided to choose, and Kitty, the mother, would make sure that nobody went on the floors and would never go in the rooms to see what Jose was doing with these boys.
The mom knew.
Of course the mom knew.
The mom knew.
The mom is a scallywag. It's just disgusting what she's allowed these boys to have to go through.
Yes.
There's just so much. It's just really, really terrible. So one of the boys' cousins testified that he found a container of human feces under Lyle's bed. Lyle explained to him that he would be too scared to go to the bathroom. Sometimes when he was being punished, he wouldn't be allowed to leave his room to go. He also wet the bed until his very late teen years, which is a very, very big sign of abuse.
Huge sign of abuse with the bedwetting.
Erik was from around the ages of 6 years old all the way up until he was 18 by Jose. His family witnessed how he became extremely distressed at any meal that he ate when he couldn't eat lemon or ketchup with it. He put lemon and ketchup on his food as he found it diminished the taste of his father's semen that he would be made to swallow.
This makes me want to cry.
Is that not f***ing insane?
It makes me want to cry because the fact that these boys have had to live an entire life behind bars but had already lived in their own personal hell is beyond me.
It's disgusting. I mean, so Lyle was also molested from the time he was 6 until I believe 14. So Jose started molesting both of the boys around 6 years old. For some reason it stopped with Lyle, and I think it's because Lyle put up a fight.
Yeah. I think he would be scared that Lyle would say something. Erik was so much more of like someone he could dominate, and Lyle was just so hard-headed that if he continued to do that, I bet you Lyle would have said something.
Yeah, absolutely. Family members testified that when Jose was with one or both of the boys in the bedroom or in the shower with them, you were not under any circumstances allowed on the same floor of the house with them. You weren't allowed to check what was going on, and no one was allowed to see the boys straight after. One of the family members tried to tell the boys' mother, Kitty, what was going on, and it turns out she knew the entire time, and Kitty called her a liar. This woman, Kitty, is just a nightmare. Let's talk about Kitty really quick, because there is a bunch of things that I would like to say about Kitty that I have. Kitty literally let these boys just get because she was literally, she hated her sons. She has gone on record to therapists and said she feels like her sons ruined her life. She hated being a mother. She didn't like it. She was physically and sexually abusive with the boys also. And here's a couple of facts about Kitty. So Kitty didn't just enable what was happening to her sons, but she participated in their abuse, both physically and sexually. She had Lyle sleep in the same bed as her, and had him touch her till he was the age of 13.
What the?
Sometimes further than that age. Her own son touching her inappropriately anywhere. And Lyle, while recounting the events in trial, testified she loved it.
That is so sick. That,
Like, how do you... you got one parent that's a complete just Satanist, like just disgusting devil.
Yes.
But then you've got the wife who's a devil too. Like, how does that work that you find two pieces of shit that just fall in love with each other?
I mean, they are together because they're the same human.
Ugh.
It is disgusting that anyone at all would do anything involving a child, let alone your own child.
Yeah. On several accounts, she told people, most notably her therapist, she hated her children. They ruined her life, happiness, and her marriage. She would lock them in cupboards to do their homework because they were terrible in school due to their abuse, and wouldn't give them food or water for hours.
The abuse just keeps getting worse
We haven't
and
even
worse.
cracked
I
the
know
freaking seal.
we're like just at the beginning of this, and like if you guys by the end of this don't understand like why we feel the way we feel, it's crazy to me.
Lyle also testified that his mother would beat him, kick him, and drag him around by his hair, considering he was already losing his hair due to immense stress at such a young age. So that is why Lyle had to wear a toupee, because of all the abuse that was going on in the house. It was stressing him out that even in high school, he was in 9th grade losing his hair because he was so stressed out because he was internalizing so much.
Mm-hmm.
Erik testified that his mother violated him and would often walk around the house naked or semi-naked in his presence when Jose or Lyle wasn't around. Gross, man.
It's so disgusting.
Like, you're getting by your father and then your mom's doing shit too.
I don't like it. Not only did they bring forward family members who are like, hey, this is what we have personally witnessed in all of this. We also had a doctor testify that 7-year-old Erik had a medical record of SA. So
yes.
This had already been looked into, and no one helped him.
Yeah. There was a doctor that literally said the back of, was it Erik's throat or Lyle's?
Erik's.
Yeah. The back of Erik's throat was injured so badly that it could have only been done by abuse. Like, why did nobody step in right then and take those kids?
And this doctor went on trial for these boys and admitted this and showed like proof. Like, that is proof. Awful.
Yeah. Jose ruled with an iron fist. He literally kept that house so scared that even one time, the family dog, he cut the dog's head off and put the dog's head in a freezer and let Lyle and Erik see this dog's head in their freezer every day to just scare them and intimidate them and to teach them a lesson.
Because like we talk about this, like these boys being still so willing to protect their dad's honor. Imagine having your life threatened that much that you are literally afraid to live. And like that, I don't know. That just, these boys literally became stuck.
No, they were literally just beaten little puppies.
Yes.
And you know, you raise a child in the jungle, they're going to act like a monkey, right?
Yes.
Like, these kids never had childhoods. They literally were getting arrested and raped by age 6, and that's all they knew. It got to the point where Erik liked it.
Yes.
Because he didn't know that it was wrong.
Yes.
And he testifies that, and you guys will hear that from his own mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, it's disgusting,
If
dude.
you literally birth a child and tell it that the sky is purple,
they're going to believe you.
They are going to, until the day they die, probably tell everyone around them, no, that sky is purple. You guys are the crazy ones. Mm-hmm. You guys think it's blue. I know it's purple.
Yeah, my mom and dad told me so. Yeah. When they did the search of the house, Jose would take naked photos of both of them and would crop their faces out. So there would only be pictures of them from the neck down, and he kept those photos in their home, and the mom's Kitty's handwriting was found on the front of the envelope that they were kept in. It's so bad. It's just so bad. Like, all of it is just so fucking disgusting, dude. So here's the doctor testifying about Erik having medical record of abuse.
Dr. English, have you had access to certain medical records of Erik Menendez?
Yes.
Did you see any indication in Erik Menendez's medical records of an injury to his throat area?
Yes.
Document indicate that there was an injury to the throat of Erik Menendez sometime in 1977.
Yes. The direct quote is posterior pharynx, uvula, and soft palate.
The report of injury in that medical record, could that be caused by child sex, in your opinion?
Yes.
Do you have any opinion as to what type of child sex could have resulted in that particular complaint?
Oral copulation.
That's a doctor on the stand confirming that this little boy has an injury from a penis in the back of his throat.
Yes. No one thinks to even bat an eye at that.
It's so frustrating. This entire case is beyond frustrating because nobody helped these boys. The judicial system failed him. His family failed them. Everybody failed these boys.
And when we get to the jury and how like this trial goes on, it makes me sick to my stomach to see how they voted within the trial. And like you were literally given all of this evidence. There's more. We're still getting into it, you guys.
There's so much. And like we're not even going to be able to cover how much evidence. Like if you have not already, go down this wormhole.
Yes, please do.
It's crazy.
Please do.
So next we're going to hear from Erik talking about being molested by his father.
I hid from him. I put cinnamon in his drinks, in his coffee, in his tea.
Why did you put cinnamon in his drinks?
Well, at the time, I was in 7th grade, and I had a group of kids, friends of mine, that were really involved. They weren't involved, but they talked a lot about it. And it made me very uncomfortable. So I would sort of shy away and just listen. And
what did you hear that led to putting cinnamon in your father's drinks, if anything?
I heard that it made it taste better.
It made what taste better?
His semen.
And so you did it so it would taste better?
Yes.
Now, was it at some point after you were 11 years old that you developed a rather peculiar eating habit?
Yes.
Did you think it was peculiar?
No.
Okay. That's my word?
Yes.
What did you do?
I used a lot of lemon in my food.
And what do you mean by used a lot of lemon? What are we talking about here?
Well, in essence, I would put the lemon in the bowl first, and then put whatever I was going to put in the bowl, like fish or rice or whatever. Sometimes I'd just pour the lemon over the food if it was already on the plate. But otherwise, I would just drown my food in lemon.
All of your food?
Soup, the meat, chicken, the fish, the rice, pretty much everything.
So would you consume a large quantity of lemon every week?
Every day.
And when you're eating all this lemon, did you notice it had any effect on your sense of taste?
Yes.
What would happen?
I wouldn't taste as much.
You wouldn't taste as much of your food?
I did it for a specific purpose, but it didn't seem to work all that well.
What was the purpose for which you were doing it?
So that I wouldn't have to taste my dad's.
Okay. Let me ask you something. Where did the lemon come from? Did you go and buy it for yourself?
Where the idea come from?
No. Where did the actual lemon that you're putting on everything come from?
Oh, from my mother.
And would your mother, did she ever run out of lemon?
Yes.
And would she be concerned about that?
Yes.
So did she make it a point of trying to always keep you supplied with lemon?
She kept stocks of lemon.
Did your mother ever ask you why you were drowning all of your food in lemon?
No, it was a big joke in the family, and the relatives and so on, but no one ever asked me why.
She never asked you why?
No.
Overall.
Lord. It's terrible. Like, it's really just terrible what these boys have gone through. I just couldn't imagine knowing that my sons are literally drowning their food in lemon because they don't want to swallow my husband's cum. You know she knew.
Oh, she absolutely knew. There's nothing in my mind that would ever tell me that she didn't know exactly what was going on.
Here's Lyle talking about the abuse in his words.
My mother was mostly the one that would explode about the bedwetting, or would punish me about the bedwetting. Sometimes she would rub my face in the sheets. She refused to change the sheets. I'd sleep on the floor.
Until how old?
14. Say you're a sissy like your brother. He'd just be totally disgusted. Didn't want to talk to me. Sometimes we'd skip practices if my mom had said that I wet my bed, and I would get beaten for it.
Were you ever taken to a doctor?
No. I was very embarrassed, and I believed that it was a big flaw, and I was trying desperately to not do it.
We were in the kitchen one morning, and Lyle started getting yelled at by Jose and Kitty, saying he was a sissy and a baby because he had wet his bed, and he started being called. They were calling him names and getting mad at him. That's all I know. I left.
Why'd you leave?
Why stay? I went downstairs to my room.
What did Lyle look like?
Scared.
How old were you when you started noticing that you were losing some hair?
I think 14.
And did some people tease you about it?
Yes.
And who is it that teased you about it?
Mostly tennis coaches. Occasionally someone at school would say something about it. I was losing very little hair, but still was disturbing to me.
Did you get a hairpiece then?
Yes.
And are you wearing it today?
Yes.
So that was Lyle talking about the abuse, and then they put in another family member who had witnessed the abuse also. I mean, like this, we're talking like hours and hours and hours of testimony and people and family members who literally are coming forward saying, yes, these boys are not lying. Like, these are all situations that have happened. So the courts had all of this.
Confessions of them from them. You had doctors, you had relatives, you had everyone you could possibly imagine, therapists, and still these somehow jurors are looking at it with their preconceived notions and just making these decisions based off of how they felt personally.
It's just crazy. Kitty actually went on record to her therapist as saying that she was hiding sick and dark family secrets. Like, this is the mother saying this to therapists, and still nobody helped them. Kitty ripped off Lyle's hairpiece in front of Erik, who didn't even know that he had one. He had it to cover the fact that his hair had been falling out. So, like, this family thrived on humiliation and making these boys, just breaking them down, making them feel bad. Like, Erik didn't even know that Lyle was losing his hair, and Kitty rips it off in front of Erik to just humiliate and embarrass.
They treated them like dogs.
Yeah, no, I feel like people treat dogs better than these children, you know?
They treated them like these kids didn't have emotions.
We're going to play one more thing of Erik talking about the abuse on stand, and then if you want to keep deep diving, you are more than welcome to. There's so little time and so much.
All of this is in that new series that just dropped on Netflix. So if you guys want to watch the actual tapes of the courtroom, they just put all of it on Netflix. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you go watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this will be the last one.
She would say, "What, are you gay, or are you not man enough for her? Are you just not a man enough person to be with her? Is this what your problem is?" She would really get down on me.
So she gave you the impression that she questioned whether or not you were gay?
Yes.
Mr. Menendez, did you ever question in your mind whether or not you were gay?
Yes.
And why was that, if you know?
It's because I didn't understand what was happening with my father.
And what do you mean you didn't understand it?
In California, I didn't understand why it didn't hurt so much and anymore, and I didn't understand how. I just felt like I was having more friends because I had a car and I was able to play tennis with them, and I was a little bit more independent, and I felt like I was supposed to be stronger, and I would still be doing this with Dad, and I wouldn't scream at him or fight back with him because I was afraid, but I still thought I should have, and I would still be able to have an orgasm.
Okay, so those things, those factors made you wonder if in fact maybe you were gay. Maybe that's why this is happening. Maybe that's why I don't resist. Maybe that's why it doesn't hurt. Is that what you mean?
Yes, I didn't understand.
And did these concerns about whether or not you were gay, did this bother you?
Yeah, it was on my mind a lot. It bothered me.
Did you think it was wrong for somebody to be gay, or was it just that you didn't know what you were?
No, I didn't think I was wrong to think I was...
No, you didn't understand my question. Do you think it was wrong for people to be gay?
No.
So, what was it?
It was just that I was confused, and it was difficult for me. My mom made it seem like it was worse than death to be gay, and I didn't think I was. I didn't know. I really didn't understand.
Did you like girls?
Yes.
Were you attracted to girls?
Yes.
And eventually, did you have intimate relationships with girls?
Yes.
You said your mom made it sound like the worst thing in the world. Did your father make gay jokes?
Yes.
Did your father call you a particular name associated, a negative name for gay people?
Yeah, he called me a faggot.
Did he call you that a lot?
Yeah, he either called me a fag or a faggot. He used both of them. He hated gay people, and he absolutely refused to accept that what was happening between us. He just said that it wasn't any of that. He hated that.
Without naming him, was there a relative on your mother's side of the family that was perceived by the family as being gay?
He was gay.
Okay.
Well, we didn't know that. We just felt that he was.
Okay. And how did your father talk about or treat that particular individual?
He ridiculed him, made fun of him, talked a lot behind his back, would say things like, you don't want to be, I don't want to say his name, you don't want to be like this person. He would, one time I remember Lyle bought the same color and basically the same type of shoe as this person was wearing. And he made fun of Lyle for the longest time for it.
For getting the same kind of shoes as the relative?
Yeah.
Now, what did you think when your father, who is having you, is taunting you with being gay?
I was real confused. I didn't think that what Dad and I was doing was a gay thing. I thought it was just what Dad and I was doing, and but it made me real confused because it didn't hurt like I thought it should anymore, and so I didn't understand.
When your father called you faggot, did you ever answer him back in your head?
Yes.
What did you say?
I said, well, then what the hell are you?
So this poor kid doesn't even know if he's gay or not because he's been getting so much by his father since he was 6 years old.
Yeah, in all of this, you guys, they not only were forced to do ungodly things to their father was doing ungodly things to them. And this included, you know, touching them down there and also forcing them to shove things and being sodomized. And it was with multiple different things. So not only was both of them were receiving such trauma from their father, forcing them to put things in there, forcing them to do things to them, that Lyle then went on to do the same thing to Erik.
Which he testifies about that on the stand, and he talks about it. And there's so much where Lyle holds it together, but the minute he talks about what he did to his brother, he breaks down crying and says very audibly, "I'm so sorry." And Erik said that was the first time that his brother ever apologized to him.
You can also see in that video Erik just like biting onto his knuckle, just with all his might. And it is so sad to watch because you can watch the true pain in both of them come out. That to me was like the breaking point of the trial. It truly, to me, they both showed how human they were.
Yeah. I mean, these boys really bared their souls, dude.
Yes.
Like, they were just like, look, we f***ed up, yeah, majorly, but this is why we f***ed up.
Mm-hmm.
Erik has gone on to say in an interview that he misses his mother and wishes that he would not have her. He craves that affection and love that he wanted from his mother so badly, and he still wishes he could sit down with her and have a conversation.
Wow.
Even after all the abuse that she's put him through,
mm-hmm.
he still just wants his mommy.
They're lost little babies. Both of them never received any type of love from anyone.
They don't
ever.
know what love is like.
They have no idea what love is like.
They don't.
At all. And it's so sad.
No, it's so sad. And Erik also says that it's more difficult with his father. Lyle also testified emotionally that the abuse started at 6 years old. As Lyle testified, Erik starts bawling. Lyle said he told his mother about the abuse, and her reply was, "He has to punish you when you do bad things." I hope Kitty Menendez is rotting in hell.
Absolutely. You are justifying the actions of your sick, monstrous husband.
Like,
get out of here.
You're fucking disgusting, lady.
You're just as awful as he is.
No, you're disgusting. He then goes on to talk about how he started abusing Erik because of what was being done to him. When Lyle reveals this moment too, if you guys go watch the clip, the judge's face during this, like, I don't know how the judge wasn't moved to tears, because his face was just like he could not soak in all of that these boys had been through, you know. Anyways, so when Lyle did apologize to Erik on the stand, the entire courthouse was crying too.
Yeah, you can't. I literally
you could hear a pin drop.
Yes.
Like,
I got so emotional at that point.
And remember, this is all televised.
Yeah.
So the world is watching this happen to these boys. So Erik had also tried to tell Jose to stop, you know, him. And Jose threatened Erik with a knife and told him that he would kill him if he told anybody or if the between them stopped. Erik also tried to leave and go to college. He was like, yeah, this is my out. I'm going to finally get to go to Stanford. I'm going to be away from my dad. And Jose said, absolutely not. You're going to go to UCLA and you're going to live in this house. Because, like, I believe, like, Jose was, like, in love with Erik.
Yeah, and that probably explains why the abuse went on for so long. Again, that goes back to what I said earlier, is he felt like he had control over Erik, while years before he had sort of lost control of Lyle.
Yes. So you guys need to keep in mind that the deaths happened when Erik was 18. And the reason why these happened was because Lyle had no idea that Erik was still being arrested.
Yes.
Lyle thought that it had stopped, just like it had stopped for him. And this is a family that clearly has zero communication with each other. And Lyle found out that it was happening. And when he found out that it was happening, he went to his dad and confronted his dad and said, if you don't stop, I'm going to go to the police. And Jose looked at him and said, you listen to me. What I do with my son is none of your business. And so Lyle went to Kitty and was like, hey, do you know that this is still going on? And Kitty goes, what do you think, I'm stupid? Like, these boys had nobody to protect them, bro.
Nobody
would help them. So Lyle testified that they killed parents because the dad would not stop Erik, and they feared that the father would try to kill him because they had confronted them.
Yes.
Confronted him.
They say that they went and got these guns out of protection.
Right.
Because they knew at any point Jose was just going to lose.
I mean, the dude cut a dog's head off and put it in a fridge.
How they knifed to his son's neck.
Literally.
Like,
he's put stuff inside of them.
Of course they're going to fear for their lives.
Yeah. Like, they're totally scared of them. And what had sealed the deal was Kitty and Jose invited Erik and them out onto a yacht. And they couldn't understand, like, why they were being forced to go out on this yacht. And this entire trip, they thought that they were going to be...
They are so up in the minds that they have totally convinced themselves, and they could maybe not be wrong.
Right.
These two could have hated their children their whole lives, that they truly could have been planning, we don't know, to, like, maybe off them in an accident on the boat.
Yep.
Nobody actually knows.
Here it is in their own words.
Nothing about that trip made sense. Shouldn't have been out there.
Well, the story was that Mr. Menendez had a big deal that had gone through, and he was going to go shark.
They wanted to.
Yeah, I think they definitely had bad intentions, for sure.
And
absolutely.
This goes back to, I think he feared Lyle.
Yeah.
I think the dad began to fear Lyle, and I believe that
because
dad
Lyle's
knew,
a grown man at this time and could beat the out of him, I'm sure.
Yes, and I know that there was enough evidence that he truly believed that his whole reputation and everything he had would be lost if Lyle was to come forward.
Also, during trial, they submitted an essay that Erik had written at 14 about somebody who raised children. And they still overlooked that. I mean, like, there's just, the evidence is just crazy.
It's really sad that moving forward with this case and everything, after all of the evidence, that anyone could think any different of both of these boys. Even for them to be like, oh, they were acting, oh, they were this. The evidence is there. Yeah. How could you ever assume that someone's cry had crocodile tears? That was another thing you saw. A lot of people kept saying, oh, the boys have crocodile tears. Yep. And I'm like, yeah, maybe they already cried out all their tears from, like, the lifelong hell that they just lived.
I don't think they were crocodile tears.
And when it finally broke, I think the breaking point to me was him saying sorry. Those were, like, the truest emotions I'd ever seen out of both of them.
No, all of it. There was no crocodile tears. You could definitely see these boys were in such pain, dude. Like, just so sad. So, you guys just heard him talk about the fishing trip and how that scared the shit out of them, that's what prompted them to go buy the guns to protect themselves, because if Jose came in the room, Lyle said he was going to blow Jose's head off if he tried to hurt him. So the night of the murders, Jose came home and told Erik to go upstairs and wait for him, and they thought that they were going to be because in the bedroom. Yeah, because Jose came in, he was in a mood, told Erik to go upstairs, and Lyle just snapped. He literally snapped and freaked out. He's already stressed out because he just found out his dad's still molesting his brother. You know, Jose told him to go for himself, and then they took him out on this boat. I think Lyle just snapped. He ran upstairs to Erik's room and said, this is it. We're going to do it right now. And Erik was ready. Erik went and grabbed his gun too, and then they went downstairs and just blew their parents away, dude.
Yeah.
And, you know, after learning everything that has happened with these boys, I don't blame them.
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah, I don't blame them at all.
I would do the same damn thing.
So after all that, after the families, the doctors, the letters, everybody corroborating every bit of evidence that these boys have said and poured their hearts out, the jury is locked and it's declared a mistrial.
Now, this is what pisses me. This pisses me off more than anything. I learned in researching this that it was split down the middle, that when they asked if, you know, was it this or it was that, all of the men in the room rose their freaking hands. That makes, and they said maybe like one woman or something. The rest were all women who were like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
The fact that those men in that room could not
heartless
believe that a man could do this to another man goes to show how heartless it was.
They were saying abuse isn't an excuse to
What? Let me stick stuff up all of your butts.
Yeah,
and then let's talk.
10 years, 12 years. Like, and that, and saw your dog's head off on top of getting your ass beat, on top of getting your face rubbed in urine. Like, these boys lived in a house of horrors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're going to say that that's not an excuse?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And then all the women, the reason this became a mistrial is because they truly sat there and argued this because the women believed that these boys did not deserve this.
Yeah.
So it goes to mistrial. And they deliberated for what, 30 days?
No. Was it 30? I thought it was 5.
No.
Oh, was it 30 days?
I'm pretty sure it was, we're going to fact check this.
We'll fact check
Pretty
it.
sure it was like a month.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, they were deadlocked, mistrial, and then now we move on to the second trial. And this is where the boys get literally, I don't want to use the terminology, they get literally
you gotta
there's
use
no
it.
other word that you can use. Like, they literally got because the OJ Simpson trial, during all of this, the boys get the mistrial, and then right after that, OJ goes on that chase. So he's in this chase, he's in the media, it's a media circus, the boys have been forgotten about, whatever. And sorry,
it's okay.
Are you all right?
I'm fine.
So the second trial begins 8 days after the OJ Simpson trial. The boys never stood a chance.
No.
Literally.
In both cases.
Because OJ had just gotten acquitted and the world was pissed off.
The world was in divide at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they were really pissed off. Nobody really believed OJ didn't do it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like whoever got this case knew it was going to be just as popular as the OJ case, if not more.
Well, that's where they got also, is the judge ruled that the abuse excuse would not be allowed in this trial because the boys weren't women. So battered women syndrome couldn't be used as an excuse. So none of the abuse, none of the testimonies from the families, none of anything that was submitted in the last trial,
essay,
all of it, nothing could be submitted into this trial. Completely out. And no cameras.
And the jury that they chose had just witnessed and gone through the previous trial. So they already know everything. Mm-hmm. It's crazy to me. Makes me so mad.
Literally. So they decided to not make it a media circus. The boys couldn't submit everything that was stacked against them. Mm-hmm. And they went in, and it was literally October 1995. A retrial of the brothers begins with one jury. This time around, much of the defense evidence about sexual abuse is excluded. March 1996, the jury convicts both brothers of first-degree murder.
12-0.
12-0. You can't tell me that if they knew everything that was going on, like in that household, that there wasn't one person with a heart.
Not one person. Did they choose all 12 men? Like,
yeah.
What? Like, get out of here.
It's just crazy. And then July of 1996, the brothers are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So, that, my friends,
is the trial.
As how the boys got convicted, how they are where they are today, and why they've served, 34 to 38 years in prison. And so now, May of 2023, the Peacock docuseries Menendez and Menudo, Boys Betrayed, a former member of the boy band Menudo said in a sworn affidavit that he was Jose Menendez when he was about 14. But at least he's coming out now, and that helps the boys tremendously.
It does. And I feel like because of all of you guys deep diving into this like we have, they are being seen in such a different light.
Yes.
And it's fine if you don't agree with us. All opinions are welcomed, but this is how we feel about this. Mm-hmm. If I was them, I probably would have done it too.
So, since in lieu of all the light that's being shown on them, the attorneys for the Menendez brother file a habeas petition asking the court to reconsider the conviction and sentence in light of new evidence from the Menudo band member and from a letter Erik wrote about the abuse prior to the killings. The attorney asked that the court either vacate the brother's conviction and sentence or permit discovery and an evidentiary hearing in which they can provide proof, the document says. So, during this time, that's when Monsters, September 2024, Netflix releases the true crime drama Monsters, Lyle and Erik Menendez story, a 9-episode series co-created by Ryan Murphy about the killings. The show is really more interested in talking about how monsters are made as opposed to born, Murphy said. Which, he's not lying.
No.
These boys were made, they had to be monsters. They aren't monsters, but they had to be monsters because they're not monsters, they just did monstrous things.
Yes.
You know? And I truly try to have that opinion about anybody who has hurt somebody, but then when you have facts like this about a case, you can see that these boys really aren't monsters.
These boys only got 6 years.
Yeah.
Before being SA'd.
And I'm sure they were still being abused. They were getting hung.
I was like 2.
Yeah, at 2 years old, they were getting hung.
You're already getting abused.
Yeah. So they've already been dealing with physical abuse and all that
These
stuff.
boys didn't stand a chance, ever. They never had a year of life.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like the most these boys have been able to live is in prison.
Yeah.
Their life literally started the day they their parents.
Yeah. And in a statement released by Erik, talking about the Ryan Murphy Netflix docuseries, he pretty much states what we had said earlier. He said these horrible and blatant lies are taking us back to an era when the prosecution built a narrative on a belief system that males were not abused and that males experienced trauma differently than women. Those awful lies have been disrupted and exposed by countless brave victims over the last 2 decades who have broken through their personal shame and bravely spoken out. So now Murphy shapes his horrible narrative through vile and appalling character portrayals of Lyle and I and disheartening slander. So, they don't agree with it because Murphy did not show the empathy that he should have, and we talked about that earlier.
Yeah, it most definitely. Not saying he did a bad job on it. Monsters is a fantastic series, but the main part of all of this was that he left out the humanization of those boys.
Right. Absolutely. And now the good news, October 5th, 2024, LA County District Attorney tells CNN, Jim Acosta, that he increasingly became concerned that it was critical that we reviewed the new evidence put forth by the defense. He noted that times had changed regarding how the public and the courts treat victims of sexual abuse. He said, and I quote, "There is no question that our sensitivity to sexual assault is much more significant today. It has been clearly established that both men and women can be sexually assaulted, or boys and girls. I think 35 years ago, cultural norms were a little different. There is no question that a jury today would look at this case probably very differently than a jury did 35 years ago." He also notes that the shows and films about the case have had an impact. But for the documentary, quite frankly, we probably would not be talking at this point, he said. We may be talking later, but that certainty has increased in the attention by the public, and that's why we're being very public about where we are. So, a hearing on the Menendez brothers petition is set for November 29th, baby.
Yes, we get to watch this unfold.
Do you know that the world is going... I got goosebumps. The world is going to celebrate when those boys walk out of jail.
Absolutely. Can we also talk about these boys have become completely different humans?
Oh, so different.
I want a painting. Can we talk about
the
painting?
Which one paints? Lyle or Erik? I forget. One of them paints like freaking Picasso.
One of them. Dang, I don't remember who it was.
I think it's Erik.
It's Erik.
And Lyle got all the scholarship type.
Yes, he went on to being like a representative in like so many different aspects and making a difference in other people's lives. So, first off, I do want a painting.
I want to paint Erik Menendez. I would like a painting, please.
Erik Menendez is the modern day Bob Ross.
Literally, like, he paints so good. Like, it's crazy.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You could just tell he puts his whole entire life, his soul into it.
And they even said, like, they never even knew that he could draw. And, like, how freeing is that you found something so beautiful and being able to let your emotions out in such a beautiful way.
There's been rappers that have gone on in interviews lately that have been locked up with Erik and Lyle, and they said that they moved like G's in there, and like if it wasn't for them, that they literally would not be who they are today because they were such good examples for them.
My goodness, which they are together now.
They are, and the boys were reunited.
They did spend, 20 years apart?
20-something years apart.
Yeah, a little over 20 years. They did spend apart in 2 separate prisons. But here in the
after that letter was found, they split them up. Did not tell the boys that they were getting split up.
I know
which
they
was
did that
heartbreaking.
Barbara Walters interview,
Yep.
and after that took them and separated them in 2 different vans, and they didn't know why until they showed up at 2 different prisons.
Yeah.
So sad, but they are reunited. And they said that they are so happy to be in one another's lives again.
I feel like the boys have served their time.
Yes.
I feel like they've done a life sentence.
Yes.
35 years, 38 years, that's a
Yes.
life sentence, you know? And I think that, like, let them prove themselves that they can be upstanding citizens and that they can get out, be free men, and change the world.
Yes.
And change the world. Be advocates for sexual abuse.
Absolutely.
And, you know, show people that, hey, you can get beaten, abused, locked up, get out, and still be something.
They are going to make a difference in this world.
I think they're icons. I do. You guys will probably get mad at me for saying that, but they literally have been in the limelight since 1990, and they've done nothing but progress.
Yeah.
They've never regressed.
Yeah.
They're not like Wade Wilson. They're not like Wade Wilson out here talking about on the phone to bitches trying to scam people out of money. Like, these men actually changed their lives.
Yes.
That's iconic.
Out there changing other people's lives.
What they did was wrong, absolutely, but they learned from it, and they did it because they were
self-defense.
Not thinking in their right minds, dude.
I feel like it was self-defense.
I feel like they split. You know, like it's like one of those splits where you've just been abused for so long that you just crack, dude.
Yeah, your fight or flight is literally just raging.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see these boys get released. I'm so excited. I'm just putting it in the air. That's why I keep saying it. But how long was that podcast time, eh?
Almost 2 hours.
Yay. So we just did 2 hours of Erik and Lyle. And there's so much more that you guys can dig.
Please
like, we
go
didn't
watch
even
everything we've discussed.
Like I said, we did not even touch the tip of the iceberg with all the testimony and stuff that's online. But if you can really watch those tapes, man, it will change your mind. It will pull at your heartstrings. And, you know, I'm just happy that we are able to use our platform to bring light to these boys too. So like I said, Erik and Lyle, you're always invited on the podcast. You got anything else to say?
That's all.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.